Hey guys, Spacemon here. Today we are taking a look. Hey guys, Spacemon here. Today we are taking a look at 2022 Oklahoma commit Nick Evers. A lot of good things to like. I mean, obviously, if you're getting offered at Oklahoma by Jeff Levy, Brent Venables, and all the members of that offensive coaching staff, you're obviously a good player. One of the things I wanted to talk about was just sort of his body type, what we can kind of expect him to become, and a few things he does mechanically. Although I'm not a quarterback coach, I am a sports performance coach, and I break down video of movement, just kind of the not necessarily the mechanics themselves, but what's happening with the body as it relates to the mechanics and how best to take exercises and implement them in a gym or performance training setting to best enhance those abilities. So, a few things I want to look at from a size perspective. One of the people I really have not heard him compared to, and maybe they have, is Patrick Mahomes of the Kansas City Chiefs, formerly of the Texas Tech Red Raiders. From a height standpoint, and you can almost see it here from just height, limb length, sort of the way their bodies are composed, very similar. Now, it is obvious that Patrick Mahomes does carry quite a bit more mass on his frame, but up until about his senior year in high school and then his early time at Texas Tech, he was a little bit more similar to Evers in terms of kind of that sleeker, more slender frame. And both, I believe, were basketball players in high school, so multi-sport athletes, which is always good, and I think that contributes to obviously Patrick Mahomes having great escapability, but Evers also having some mobility as well. Next thing we're going to look at is throwing motion, and I'll kind of come back to a few things here. From a release standpoint, we've synced up these videos pretty good. You can see what Oklahoma probably likes here. That release from the moment that ball is go, so probably about this frame, so set here. This frame right there, both athletes are starting to bring the ball down and get through their throwing motion, and you can see, I mean, Evers is lightning quick. Granted, it's a little bit different distance throw, but that ball is out incredibly fast with pretty good velocity. Whereas Mahomes here on a nice little intermediate throw is still kind of getting into that throwing motion. So the quick release is there with Evers. One thing I do want to point out, and I think these are some of the things that Levy and staff will obviously fix. You can notice the ball position here for Evers as opposed to Mahomes, just how low that ball position is. That just, anytime you're in the pocket, there's a danger of that ball getting stripped when it's lower. And it also can, make in his case, a pretty quick release a little bit slower. So that's also a good thing to address there as the staff moves forward. The other thing I want to talk about is this lead arm or front arm. Not everybody plays with, as you see Mahomes here, with that front arm is what I'm talking about. Not everybody throws with a really high sort of front side arm, but in coaching rotational athletes myself, specifically softball players, the front side mechanics and as you swing around are very, very important as well. Not just what's going on with sort of the actual arm that's doing the work. So you can see here in comparison just how low this front side arm stays for Evers, and then again how high that front side arm gets for Mahomes. One of the things that could impact is obviously throwing velocity. So if you'll notice, watch Mahomes here. This arm is going to take kind of a downward trajectory as he goes through. You'll see that elbow drive down, and it almost, where here you're creating a pushing motion. With this arm, the front side arm, you're almost creating an opposing sort of pulling movement, and that allows you to initiate more torque. For Evers, when you're kind of missing that sort of that front side pull, it ends up being, and I'll circle here, it ends up being very heavy shoulder, right? He's still using his hips pretty well, but ends up being a lot of shoulder movement that maybe you don't want quite as much of, just because of how, if the shoulder's really doing a lot of the work, it can lead to increased risk of injury just from overuse. So I would say ball placement, and then of course that front side arm there. Probably some things that get addressed. I know Mayfield and Murray have pretty high front side arms. Again, not a quarterback's coach, so some of the terminology may be off, but from a performance standpoint, a lot to like. As far as feet, kind of get there real quick. The guy can front squat, I've seen 275 for reps, so he's got some pretty good strength for his size. He's obviously going to thicken up his frame. Nice sort of definition there on the quads, on the legs. Guy's got some serious athleticism, Evers does. And you'll see that get enhanced during his time in Norman, especially this first winter and spring session. So there's my bit on Nick Evers. Hope you guys enjoy. Think he's going to be a really good player for Oklahoma. But obviously a few things athletically from a size standpoint they're going to need to address, particularly just his weight. And then probably fixing a few things mechanically. But I think he has a lot of the tools to do well in Levy's system for sure.